your lovely selves here and onto London City Island, and also arrange evenings with sort of ideas, discussions, hopefully, well, very probably actually given the theme of today, but probably some very nice drinks as well, which I hope you're enjoying. So I'm Libby Brodie. I'm a wine consultant and the wine columnist for London City AM, and I'm joined today by Matthew Jukes, right there at the end, that's Jukes. He's a renowned wine writer, and he's the founder of Jukes Cordials that I think you've been enjoying this evening. So I hope you're enjoying those there. And of course, Richard Ellison, the founder of the award-winning Wanderlust Wine, and he's actually selected the wines that we'll be tasting later on this evening, so that'll be fantastic. And we're here to talk about the modern, new classics of the wine world. But of course, we've actually started this evening drinking these wonderful Jukes Cordials, which are low or no alcohol beverages. So I'm going to start with you, Matthew, if that's all right. I just want to know what inspired you as a wine writer to get into the low and no alcohol.
Sounds like I've sort of given up booze, but I really haven't. Yes, wine writing is my day job, and I've been in the wine business for 35 years, but I found that as I get a little bit older, I don't drink as much wine as I used to. I try to drink fewer and finer bottles of wine, and fine bottles of what's on the ticket this evening, things I should say. But in the gaps, what does one drink? When you're out at lunch, or you're busy professionals, I'm looking around the room as you all are. What do you drink? The choices are pretty mediocre out there. Water, Coca-Cola, horrible fizzy drinks, sweet things, fruit juice, all the rest of it, pretty disgusting, mocktails, yuck. And I just thought, let's come up with something a little bit original. And so I researched the history books, because if you can't think of something yourself, then you can copy someone else. And I found a recipe from the 1700s called a haymaker's punch. And a haymaker's punch was just made by farm workers from leftover bits of fruit and veg, apple cider vinegar. They made it into a rudimentary cordial. I thought this was the most romantic thing I've ever heard. So I popped down to Waitrose, bought myself similar ingredients, and made my first ever cordiality. And it was pretty tasty. So I thought, I've got something here. Let's just do this over and over again until I can make something that I can present to other people, particularly people with super taste buds who I admire. And maybe we can fill a gap that I think is very important in people's lives, especially if you have sophisticated palates, which I'm sure you will do. Many for the restaurant trade and for the well-being businesses as well, because they're very low in sugar and calories and taste pretty good. And I hope that you've enjoyed Jukes 1, 6 and 8, so white, red and rosé in different formats. So sparkling water was added to one, still water was added to another, and tonic water was added to another. Show you how flexible they are. But that's a very quick intro to what I've been doing for the last few years in my spare time, which I just don't have.
Well, no, they offer great sort of versatility, obviously, you just said, and I think it is quite important in this day and age to be able to offer something premium and, as you said, sophisticated for people who are choosing not to drink for whatever reason. So there is a big rise of the low or no movement. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, it's absolutely enormous. So to be worth 21 billion globally in 2024. And in the papers last week, I read that 39% of pub visits are dry now, which is quite extraordinary if you think about it. And certainly, if anything's going to happen in town like it, because we can tend to follow New York with our fashions, New York's dry at lunch now. It's completely dry. And that's because people are very keen to get their work done, don't want to feel squiffy, they get up early, but of course they play super hard. On the evenings they go out and they play hard at the weekends, which is fab, because that keeps us wine scribes in business and wine merchants in business. But actually, if you are going to have, as I said, some time off serious wine, you don't want to drop your standards. And I can't find anything out there that's zero alcohol. There's a few low alcohol creations, a few pretty good beers out there if that's your thing. But again, why would you drink a low alcohol beer at lunch, having a sort of business lunch? It just seems a bit odd. So I came up with something that looks like wine when it's in your glass, gives you the feel of joining in with the crowd, isn't going to interfere with your regime. As you can see, I'm an incredibly fit athlete, maybe. There's a lot of laughter out there. But also that complements food, and that's why we targeted all the serious restaurants, so all the Michelin star brigade, all the serious chefs and sommeliers out there, to fit on, you know, with their wine regime, flavour-wise. I mean, they're not wines, they're not made from grapes, but flavour-wise, that's the point.
And has there been some sort of, I mean, what's the general reaction been? You, quite a prolific, renowned wine writer, moving into this, has there been some confusion?
I think it's helped. I think people trust my taste. I think that's why people read my writing. I wrote for the Daily Mail for 21.5 years, every Saturday. It's a very, very long time, doing a very difficult job. And I had a huge readership. So a lot of people know who I am, and that helps when you're starting a new brand. So I've taken advantage of that, obviously. But I gave up my mail job 2 months ago in order to commit a hell of a lot more time to this, and also to my fine wine writing.
Fantastic. And of course we are here to obviously do a wine tasting with wines that you, Richard, have selected for us. So I want to know why you set up Wanderlust Wine. What inspired you?
Thanks. Thanks, Libby. Yeah, it's been a bit of a journey for me, rewinding 6 years ago when I sort of came up with the concept. But my journey's been quite different to many in the wine trade. Matthew knows a lot of the Boths and also has seen how the wine trade has emerged. But one thing is natural is you always get sort of younger people with new ideas. And my ideas came from a slightly different place. That I was first a chef. And with a very short, angry Mancunian head chef throwing pots and pans at me across the kitchen. After a number of years, fell out of love with that and went to university and got a degree as a food and wine technologist. So luckily I was okay at science, otherwise I would never have got that. And then didn't really know what I wanted to do with that. So I knew my love was always the sort of the sensory flavour spectrum interest thing. Why do you taste this? Why do you eat this? I couldn't work out what I wanted to do. Worked for Unilever for a year and hated it in the job I was doing. So quite randomly, I'd had a few sales jobs and then fell into the graduate recruitment firm, really placing me in a bank, selling stuff, and did quite well. So a completely different turn of events. But really, you know, 12 years in that taught me a lot about the commercial world, meeting entrepreneurs, lending money to entrepreneurs, helping entrepreneurs do what they want to do next, and really opened my eyes to all sorts of industries, and the banking and money world, I suppose. So then, really, I have to thank my previous employer, I'm not going to name, but another restructure after restructure after restructure in the banking world pushed me into, I've had enough of this, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? So a quarter-life crisis, I guess you could probably call it. And to push my, I guess the best word is sort of passion or energy into something, I went to wine school. So I'd done a number of wine courses. I probably knew as much as most people in this room. I knew a bit about wine. I've been to some wine tasting events, and then decided to go to wine school. I did pretty well, and that's when I came up with the concept, tested the concept, and then we've done pretty well. We've done pretty well, I think.
It's all pretty well going on here.
Yeah.
Honest.
Pretty well.
So that's your path into wine. And what is sort of about the concept? So what is the concept? What is the ethos of what you're doing with Wanderlust Wine?
Most brands, as they grow, evolve their USPs and what they do, but actually at the moment we still hang on pretty much what I started out to do, which was to look for really exceptional wines that you just can't find here, and then to import them and represent them and build their brand and tell the story. And the way that came about for me is I used to travel a lot when I actually had money, which I don't now. Never go into business if you want money as a younger guy, but yeah, that was for me the thing that I really loved doing. Getting out there wherever you are, California, Greece, Spain, going to visit local vineyards, tasting the wine, meeting the people, some of it very bad, some of it very good. And the stuff that was really, really good, you couldn't buy in the UK. And a couple of those were Matthew knows, for example, you know, if you ask Matthew, I imagine, you know, why weren't they available in the UK? There's quite a few different reasons, but often it just means they need someone here to really believe in what they do and to tell that story and to take a plunge on what they're trying to do. And that for me was the initial starting idea. Find these little stories from pockets of the world, bring them in and then sell them to like-minded wine lovers, normal people, not investors looking to make X% of return or whatever it might be, but just people that really love drinking wine, that are interested to learn and explore. And that's really the Wanderlust thing. And now, you know, my modesty again, best online retailer 2 years in a row from the counter, I couldn't quite, if someone had told me that back in the day, there's no way I would have believed you for any money. So the concept has been tested and refined all the time. I guess back in the day, I used to have website customers that would buy wine over to my flat. I would cook and say, tell me what we're doing wrong. Tell me, what do I do next? But that really worked, and those people are still big customers. So yeah, over the time, it's sort of very, in a purist way, stayed the same thing, which is great.
Well, that's amazing. And congratulations on the
Thank you.
So are you going to